The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are arriving back in the UK today, and that's according to a report from the BBC. Harry and Meghan are said to be flying into the country privately from California. Let's speak now to Robert Hardman, royal writer and author of Elizabeth II, In Private, in Public, The Inside Story. Hello, Robert.
Morning, Hugo.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us. Look, it's less than a week ago since we learned that they were planning to come back. Why has this all happened so very quickly?
Well, as with everything to do with the Sussexes, there's always a bit of a surprise. They do like the element of surprise. They don't like trailing things far in advance. They don't like things leaking. So at the moment, we're not entirely sure where they're landing or where they're going when they arrive. That's the way. But you know, they are. This is the start of the Great Return, and obviously everyone will be asking, well, when are they going to see the King? Where are they going to live? But their primary imperative at the moment, so we understand, is to enrol the two children at a school in the next few days.
So we don't know precisely where they're going to go. Do we know roughly? There's been a lot of talk of the Cotswolds.
Yes, there's been. I mean, they've got friends in the Cotswolds. It was where they tended to sort of retreat when they were in the UK for weekends. So that seems to be the likely spot. They have, through their people, made it clear they're not going to be living in London, and I think they would be pretty exposed if they were in the capital. As we know, security is of immense importance to Harry. So it looks like somewhere in the Cotswolds, whether it's the Chipping Norton set area or somewhere else, we don't know. But meanwhile, the rest of the royal family are up in Scotland, although the King is today, his mind has been on another departure from the US, a celestial one. Your listeners might want to go online. It's rather wonderful. He asked for the band of the Coldstream Guards to play Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 at Changing the Guard about an hour ago, and very fine sight it was too.
That is wonderful. Did we know previously he was a fan?
Yes, actually, he met Dolly Parton. I think I'm speaking off the top of my head here. I'm pretty sure she performed or did something for the Prince's Trust once upon a time. But she was a great fan of the royals, and I think it's safe to say the feeling was mutual.
Look, back on Harry and Meghan, you mentioned security. Do we have any idea what kind of security they're going to have? Because I know Lord Blunkett has said that they should have the middle level of government-funded protection. Has there been any progress on that?
Well, we don't know. I mean, the great catch-all with security is that we say we never comment on security, but such is the level of interest around their security and who's going to pay for it. I think there has to be some sort of public announcement at some point. But they're not going to get the full royal package without riders and all that, because they don't undertake royal engagements. But I mean, quite sensibly, the security services will look at the threat and what, of course, we don't know and they don't know. But what's intelligence picking up? What is the true nature of the threat? But it's certainly not going to be the case that they can just come back, snap their fingers, and say, I want bodyguards now.
Look, wherever they end up living and whoever's looking after them, how much of them do you think we're going to see? Do you think they're going to be keeping themselves to themselves, or are they going to become sort of a fixture in the public eye?
I think they're going to very much follow a celebrity pathway rather than a royal one. So, we will be allowed to see them when they want us to see them. So if they're performing a good deed or doing something for one of their charities or promoting something, then you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to see them, but the rest of the time, no. So the sort of royal exposure the family get at sort of turning up at public events, at going to church, that sort of thing, those will continue for the royal family, but not for them.
Robert Hardman, thank you very much indeed. Speaking there about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who are arriving back in the UK today.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have arrived back in the UK, landing at Birmingham Airport today. Prince Harry and Meghan are believed to have flown privately from California with their children, Archie and Lilibet, who are to be enrolled at a British school. To discuss this latest development, I'm joined by Chris Shipp, who is royal editor for ITV News. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, how are you?
We knew that they were coming. Thanks, Chris. I'm good. We knew that they were coming, but we didn't know when. This was a bit of a surprise when it flashed up on our mobile phones earlier.
Yeah, it feels very quick, doesn't it? Because don't forget, it was less than a week ago. It was last Thursday or Wednesday night, we got the breaking news that Harry and Meghan were ending their 6-year stint in the USA after leaving the royal family and everything else that we covered extensively in 2019 and 2020. And then a week later, they're suddenly in the UK. But the speed of that has rather been determined by the children's schooling. They only got the kids' places at school confirmed in the last 10 days or so. As soon as that happened, they told the King about their move. And of course, most English schools, although Scotland, they're back already, but most English schools go back next week from the summer holiday. So that's why they wanted to get here, get settled in and try and get rid of that 8-hour jet lag, which they had or still suffering from in California, and get their kids ready for school next week.
I suppose the next important question is, do we know where they're going to be based? They flew into Birmingham. Does that give us any clues?
I think Birmingham gives us a bit of a clue. I mean, had they flew into Glasgow Airport, I think we could say that they were in Scotland. I mean, there's a lot of countryside around Birmingham. I think it probably lends to the argument that they've got a home somewhere in Cotswolds. I've also heard Buckinghamshire as well, but both of those are accessible from Birmingham Airport. So what they are trying to do as long as possible, although clearly at some point, even people on Harry and Meghan's team are realists. They know that the location of the house is going to become public at some point, but they're going to try and keep it under wraps for as long as they possibly can, as they are the children's schooling. So you're not going to get the thing that William and Kait did when their kids went to school, which is to sort of have that photo call on day one and say, now please leave them alone. Because they're not in the royal family and they haven't returned to the royal family, they are going to try and keep the children's school as well as their home as private and confidential for as long as they possibly can.
OK, all right. So centring on the Cotswolds perhaps as their destination. The other important question to ask really is the issue of security. As we understand it, and Chris, do tell me if there's been any move. There's been still no decision from Ravek, from the group who consent or who award security for high profile individuals. So did Harry and Meghan come with their own security? Do we know that?
There was no security for them today, put it that way. So Ravek is the Home Office committee that decides who gets what kind of security. And obviously Ravek are very busy at the moment because they're looking into the security of politicians as well, following that, dreadful attack on Anne Widdecombe. Plus, we've had murders as well of Joe Cox and Sir David Amess as well in recent years. So Harry is come back to the UK. He's making these points to Ravek. He's saying to them, look, I am the son of the king. I am the brother of the heir to the throne. I'm fifth in line to, in the line of succession, and my children are sixth and seventh. I fought in Afghanistan. I have had death threats from the Taliban. These are the reasons why I think that when I'm in the UK, I should get some form of security, not the same as the king, perhaps, but at least some form of security. We know that he's had what's called an RMB, a review management board, which essentially is a review of his security. We don't yet know what the result of that is. But we do know that Harry and Meghan came into Birmingham today, no police protection, no escort. They came in with their own security people. So this issue of security is unresolved, even with Harry and Meghan now residing in the UK, at least for the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I wonder if that will restrict their movements for the meantime. They will want to settle in. They have or will be bringing their dogs, Mia and Pula, with them as well. Chris, important information for us to know, but not the chickens.
Yeah, that's the breaking news tonight, is that the chickens are staying in Montecito in California, but the two dogs have been brought or are on their way to join them in the UK. So I think that's the most important takeaway. The chickens are staying in California, the dogs are in the UK.
You've always got your ear very close to the ground, Chris. You've been in this gig a long time. What are you looking out for next in this story, do you think? Where might it go?
That's a really interesting question. And I think it's like, where did the story go? Well, one, why are they here? They're here because they wanted their kids to be in British schools. And, Harry knows his kids don't really have a connection with his country of birth, where their grandfather is the king. So it's important that they spend some time here. But the whole thing was sped up by the fact that Meghan had a job. I still think it's Netflix. I know some people have written that it's not The Gentleman, but I still think that's probably the most likely series that she's coming over to film here in the UK. So that's why they're here. The issue, therefore, is what does it mean for Harry? He's clearly going to be more visible now he's in the UK. Put aside security, whether that gets sorted or not. But how does that fit with this edict from the late Queen Elizabeth, who said that you can't be half in, half out of the royal family. You're either in it or you're completely out of it. And that's how they've lived their lives for the last 6 years. What's going to happen now that they're living in the UK, and how are they going to manage that? I mean, aside from the fact he has no relation whatsoever with his brother, at least it means that Harry will then be able to see his father more regularly and build on a relationship there, which I think most people, given the King's health concerns, will think is a very good thing.
Yeah, and I presume, I mean, I'm just putting myself in their shoes, really, that a visit to the King would be one of the items top of their agenda. They'd have to obviously do it in secret, I suppose, but that is something that they're going to want to do sooner rather than later, really.
Yeah, well, the King, spends a lot of the summer in Balmoral, of course. I don't think there's any time for Harry and Meghan to just schlep up there. But, the working season for the royals will begin again in September. There'll be engagements in London and the south of England, I'm sure. Much easier for Harry to see his father. In fact, the last time they met each other was at Highgrove, the King's estate in Gloucestershire, which, again, if speculation is right that Harry's living in the Cotswolds area, is not a million miles away. So it makes it a lot easier to see his father, but the relationship with his brother is going to be an ongoing issue. And the King knows he's got two sons. One is going to be a future king and is very much in the royal family. One isn't, and he has to sort of juggle that relationship very carefully because he knows that his two sons currently don't have any form of relationship at all.
No, and have not spoken for nearly 4 years, which is astonishing, really. Look, thank you, Chris. Great pleasure to have you on. Chris Shipp is the royal editor for ITV News. Speak to you soon. Thank you.